What if you could turn a single image into a cinematic AI video completely for free and do it all on your computer without using the cloud? Today, I'm going to walk you through LTX's 13 billion parameter AI video model, which is one of the best out there, and how we can install this and run it locally on our computers so that we don't have to pay for any AI video generation ever again. I'll show you everything from how to install it, how to use it, and all the way through to what the outputs tend to look like. Plus, I put a free prompting template in the resource hub so that you'll be able to access this and just get the best outputs possible for when you're running through this video model or any of the others out there. With that being said, let's jump into a quick demo to see exactly how it works. But first, what is the output going to look like? Well, we're going to be using ComfyUI, which, yes, can look really intimidating at the start, but trust me, it's nice and easy to work with once you've done one example. So if we start on the left-hand side here, all of the flows are left to right. You'll see that you've got the ability to add your prompt in here. We've also got the negative prompt as well. So this is what we're telling the model not to do. So blurry, watermarks, anything like that, which really helps get the best output possible. We're able to upload the image down here. So this is what we're going to be able to turn into a video a little bit later on. We can choose the frame rate. We can also change the different models. So if you've got different ones installed, you can flick between them here as well. If we come across, we've now got a bit more control over the output. So we've got the seeds up here for controlling consistency. We've got the style advisor if we want to in here. We've got some of the sample selectors, but critically in here, this is the base sampler. So you're able to change the width and the height of the video so you can put it in that social media format. You can change the number of frames. Now to work out how long the video is going to be, you want to do number of frames divided by this frame rate. So in this case, it would be 97 divided by 24, which is going to be 4 seconds of footage. You can do the strength in the influence of the prompt and the blur and much, much more. And then this is going to go through. You can automatically save it. You can do saving metadata and much more as well. You'll be able to come through and upscale the content if you want to as well. And this is going to just add more detail to get a better output. But let's jump into the video and see exactly how we get to here. So as mentioned, we're going to be using LTX's 13 billion parameter video. This is a great video out here, as you can see in the background. It's got much more power than some of the other ones out there that are free to use, and we're going to be able to install this locally. If we compare it to some of the other video models out there, this is a website called Artificial Analysis. Absolutely fantastic for comparing how they perform. As you can see on screen here, we're currently 9th best for Lightricks. I'll put the prices over the top now as well. And again, you can run this completely for free on your computer. So you're saving that money every single time if you don't want to run it through here. But if we do want to run it through the cloud, you can always come across to platforms like Replicate. This enables you to run it through your API request or as you use it. So for example, here, we'd be looking at $0.14 for every Replicate run, or about 71 runs is about $1 there. So as you can see, it can be very cost efficient if you run it in the cloud as well, which maybe if you have an older machine, may be the only way to do it. So we can give it our prompt in there, the negative prompt as well. This is really key to make sure that we get the best output possible. If we've given it an input image, we can also see how quickly it's going to stick to that. We can do target size of the video if you want to, any of the aspect ratios. We can do CFG numbers, so how quickly it's going to follow the prompt. We can do the number of steps, i.e. the number of denoising elements, i.e. how better quality that image should be by the end of it. We can change the length as well, the model that we're going to be using, and we can come down and change the rest. If we do run, we should see what the output is. And really interestingly, what we'll also see is in the logs, we're going to see the ComfyUI, which is exactly what we're going to be installing today, so that we can run the exact same process, but locally on our computer. So let's just see this come back and we'll see what the output looks like. So there we go. We're getting our response back now any second. And as you can see here, this is what it looks like in the background. So we don't want to run it on here. We want to run it locally on our computer, so we don't have to pay for this at all in the future. What we're going to do is come across to the community. You can come into Classroom. You get access to all of this for free as part of your 7-day free trial. We're going to come down to where we've got local AI. And as we can see in here, we've got a free AI generator running locally, and we've got all of the instructions here to make sure that we can get set up nice and easy. One thing to note is we can run it on Mac, but you're going to need quite a powerful versions of it. And because it's not got that Nvidia GPU, it is going to be slower than if you do have an Nvidia GPU. So just keep that in mind if you want to get these outputs. So first things first, we're going to come across to Homebrew, or you're going to run this command straight away. This is just enabling us to run packages on Mac OS or Linux nice and easy, have it all contained for Python and much more as well. So to run this, now we're going to be using terminal quite a lot just so that we can go through and install this, but it's nice and easy. And again, we've got all of the instructions in here so that all you need to do is copy and paste across or follow this video and do it yourself. We're going to come into our terminal again. We're going to paste this command in here, which is all about installing the latest version of Homebrew locally on my computer, in this case, because it's a Mac. What we should see is this coming back here is just going to update it because I've already got Homebrew installed. So we'll just wait for this to finish. There we go. And now we're all installed. The next part is we want to use Python, which is one of the coding languages out there, just to make sure that we can run the command a little bit later on, which is all around ComfyUI. So we'll come back up to here. We're going to open our terminal up. We'll open terminal up. We'll paste this command in here just to make sure that we're using Python and installing it and using it locally on our computer. So there we go. It's coming through now, that last few bits, and we should get that confirmation back any second now that we're ready to go. So the next part, we're going to come through and install on GitHub locally, just so that we can make sure that we're able to download it a little bit later on. This is going to take a little while to come through, but it looks like we've already got it installed, so we're ready to go. Now this is an optional next step, which is just installing FFmpeg, which is just helping some of the video files to run a bit smoother locally. Totally up to you if you want to run this, you don't have to. We'll come back across, and then we're going to paste the command in here just to get it all installed for us if we want to. Okay, bro, so we've got all of the prerequisites now installed with the Homebrew to be able to run our Python code. We've got GitHub that we're able to leverage locally as well. And we've installed FFmpeg so that we can get some really good outputs from the AI models. The next part, we're going to come through and set up the interface we're going to be interacting with. So in this case, we're going to be using ComfyUI. So what we want to do is copy this code here, come across. We're then going to run this. We're going to add it to trusted apps, or if you've not got a VPN or anything like that running in the background, it should go through and run it for you automatically with no issues. We're also saying where we want it to be installed. So in this case, I want it to be absolutely on my desktop so that we can go through and use it that way. So there we go. We should be coming through and finishing up any minute now, just so that we can be running it locally. And then we're going to need to make a slight tweak and use the ComfyUI manager so that we can install some of the add-ons a little bit later on to be able to run the code as we need it and get the outputs that we want. So there we go, we've got it back. Now we can copy and run this. This is just because I want the latest version ready to go. You don't have to do that, it's not going to impact the end result. The next part here is we're going to be installing the ComfyUI manager as mentioned. This is just going to help us be able to install some of the modules a bit easier. So this will go through, just make some of the changes for us, and then we're going to get into the great part about downloading the model and having it all ready to go to run it a bit later on. So there we go, we're now all downloaded and we're in the custom nodes, which is where we want to be for a little bit later on. So we've got the model here, LTX 13 billion parameters, and we're currently on version 0.9.7. To be able to access it, we need to get this folder here, which is going to be a large file. It's around 30 gigabytes, but that is the model that we need to run locally. And we've also got the config file here, which is what we're going to need to download as well. Well, I've also got this one here, but I've included it in the community below, so you can find it nice and easily because it's not in the resource hub. So we want to come across to this link here. We'll open this up. This is the Hugging Face repository for the LTX video. You're always going to be able to find some examples in here and the latest models so that you can download it and use it. But which model do we want? Well, as you can see here, they've got a few different ones. If I come across, we've broken it down into this chart just so it's nice and easy to understand. So we've got the full 13 billion parameter model, which is that V0.9.7 dev. This is going to be your top quality video output, but you're going to need a rather good CPU to run it, around 16 gigabytes. And if you've got an Nvidia GPU, it's going to perform incredibly well. If you're using something like a MacBook without it, it's going to take a little bit longer to get those results. So you may want to think about maybe having a virtual machine with a GPU so that you can run it that way instead. If we look at a quantized model, so this is going to be a middle ground. We're going to get some really good fast video creation, but again, we're still going to need that larger GPU to get the output. The distilled model, which is the one that we're going to be using today, is more for our everyday laptops, home PCs, and we're going to need around 8 to 12 gigabytes of GPU to be able to run this. So let's come back across. And as we can see here, we've got the files that we can choose from. So we've got the distilled model here, which is the one that we need. So we're going to download the config file here. This is only 1.3 kilobytes, so nice and small. We're going to come across, download this, and then you want to store it in a file so it's nice and easy to find. The next part we need to do is come back up to the LTX video. This is now in the GitHub repository where they're storing all of the different models. As you can see here, it looks very similar to the Hugging Face one that we had a bit earlier on, but we've got all of the updates in here for the latest models that we can run and where all of the safe tensor files are stored. So we're able to come into here, and as you can see, it's going to be that 28.6 gigabyte folder. And what you need to do is come down and download this. This will take quite a while to download, but depending on the internet speed you have, it can be within a couple of minutes, all the way through to maybe an hour or so. Once you've downloaded this, you should have a folder with all of the models in to go. So you have the config file and the save tensor file. So we can also download some example workflows. So if we come back across, you need to open up this GitHub repository here, which is slightly different to the one before, because we're now in the ComfyUI LTX video file. And as you can see here, they've got a couple ready to go. So make sure to download these and you'll be able to use them in our model. If we look at the next couple of steps, what we've done is downloaded everything we're going to need to use today. We just need to move it around so it's accessible in the right place. So we're going to come into our desktop. We should have ComfyUI in here. We're then going to come down to our models and we're going to need to make those few updates. So you want to open the checkpoints folder first, come back across to your LTX video files. You want to get the save sensor and the distilled files, add them into the checkpoints here. The next file we need to get is this T5XXL file. We want to come down to where we've got clip, and then we're going to pull that across into there, and that should be all ready to go for us to use a little bit later on. So now we should have all of the files in the right place. I'm not going to add any of these into the Work Hub folder for now. We're going to come through and get everything set up for us to use a little bit later on. So the next part is we're going to download the LTXV node for ComfyUI. So we're going to paste our command in here and send this off. This is now going to download it into our local file so that we can use this as we need it. We just need to make sure that it's able to do that. So we're just giving it permission to go through and complete it. Once it's done this, we should be able to go through and just check we've got all the requirements for it. And then we'll be able to launch the ComfyUI, add a couple of the modules, and you'll be all ready to go. So there we go. We've now downloaded the LTX Video ComfyUI edition, as well as the ComfyUI KJ node, which is what we're going to need to run the model a little bit later. Now we're going to come down and copy this. This is just going to add any further requirements that's specified in the document for us to be able to use. And if you want to know what it's doing, come across to GitHub. You just need to come down to where they've got the requirements in here, and then you'll be able to see all of the requirements that we've just installed so that we can run this locally. If we come back across, we're now going to be able to launch ComfyUI and then just go through and make sure we've got any missing modules added in. So we'll come back across to our terminal. We're going to paste that command in there, and now this will load it up for us, give us a specific HTTP URL, and this is going to enable us to access it through an interface, nice and easy, but still works offline and on our local computer. So there we go. It's now coming down and installing some of the other elements that we need. And we're going to be able to copy this URL and then load it up in a second. Once just gone through and fetched all of the data that it needs. So there we go. It's just started all of the activities it needs to. So we'll be able to copy this URL, come across to a new web page, load it up for us automatically. And as you can see here, we're now into ComfyUI. How do we get the workflow set up? Well, we're going to use one of the examples. Now, earlier on, we mentioned around downloading some of the examples, and I've already got them ready to go. So what we're going to do is come across to here. We see that we've got the base one here. We're going to pull this across, and then it's going to give us a few errors. That's absolutely fine. That's why we've got our manager set up to help us do it. So we're going to click on install all missing nodes. This is going to come through and just help us get set up. So as you can see here, the helper suite is now running in the background. We just need to wait for this to go through and finish. We can also open manager as well. And as you can see here, it's loading it in the background for us. We'll just wait for this to come back and then restart our ComfyUI instance, and we'll be all good to go. So there we go. Down the bottom, we can see to apply change, please restart ComfyUI. What we're also going to do is Control-C just to stop the server. We're going to run this command here, which is just to make sure that we've got everything installed that we need to be able to use. It looks like it maybe have missed a few bits. So once we've gone through and installed it in our local drive using ComfyUI as well as Computer here, now we're going to come through and just reactivate our environment. This is going to come through and spin it up for us, so we'll be able to use this nice and easily. So there we go. Now we can copy this, come across, paste it in our URL, and it should load it up for us automatically. And then what we should see in here is now we're all ready to go. If I just prove it by opening up a new workflow, we're going to put across another example. As you can see, we're all ready to go. Now, what does this mean? Well, if we zoom in a little bit more, you'll see here that we're now using video combine VHS, and this is using a more inbuilt one that's ready to go versus a previous dependency on another GitHub repository, which wasn't available. So now what we're able to do is if we come back out of here, we're able to paste our prompt in here. We're going to see that we've got our sensors ready to go in here. We can add our prompt in here, and remember you'll get access to it for free in our prompt resources. So if you want to get some better prompts, all you need to do is come through to here, insert a prompt. So it could be something like eagle taking flights at night. You can add your prompt in there. You can add a file. So say we want to add in an example that we've got around an eagle taking flight, we'll be able to do that. There we go. We'll send this off, and now it's going to come through in the background, get our improved prompt ready for us to go. And then it's going to give us the improved positive prompt, i.e. the normal prompt we want to use, the instruction, as well as that negative prompt for us to make sure that we reduce the bad outputs coming through. So this should be coming back any second now. There we go. So now we can copy this top part here, come across, put that in the top part. We can also copy this bottom here. Now I found the best part is just adding it to the end, and this is going to help us get the best output. As we can see here, we've got the checkpoint ready to go that we loaded in earlier. We've got some conditioning. So the way that this is going to work is we're looking at this frame rate here, i.e. 24 frames. And we've got the number of frames here, which is 97. And this is going to be a 4-second video because we want to do 97 divided by 4, which is going to give us our 4 seconds. So if you want it longer, make sure to just increase the number of frames and you'll be able to do it. We're also able to come in here and choose that file again. So we're going to do that eagle for this example. You can come through and make any changes in here if you want to, but I think for the majority of you, just leave it for standard and it'll be all good to go. As you can see here, it's going to go through and do it all for us. And this is going to generate our base low resolution output. But then what you're also able to do in here is go through and upscale and add further details if you want to. But again, remember on the MacBooks, the non-Nvidia GPUs, it's going to take longer to get the output. So just keep that in mind. For now, I'm just going to show you how it works. So we're going to come through, select all of these. I'm going to right click and then we're going to do bypass group nodes. And then we'll do exactly the same for the adding details, just because we don't want it to go through and try and add it now. So now I'll be able to come down the bottom. We'll be able to do run. This is going to kick off the process. So we're going to be loading in our model first. Then we're going to go through and load the clip. Then we're going to load our prompts together. We're going to load the image and then start to generate the video based on that image. So we'll just wait for this to run through in the background. So now if we see the last final parts are going through, we've generated 100% of the image. We're using 8 steps in this process. And just as before the output comes through, you can also see that we can change the height and the width of the video. So you can put it into that social media 9:16 if you wanted to. and we should get it back any second now. If you want to save the input, all you need to do is turn this to true, and you'll be able to use this in the future. So let's just wait for this to come back any second now. It's just doing that last little bit for us. And then it should appear at the bottom here for us to be able to see that end result. And if we wanted to upscale it in the future, add more details, improve the quality, we'll be able to do that as well. Okay, you can loop it if you want to. You can save the output straight away. Lots of different customizability that you've got built in here nice and easily straight away. Let's just wait for that decode to finish and see what the output gives us. So there we go. It's coming through that last part here, and we'll be able to see the end results, and we can use them again absolutely for free to generate this video. We just got to wait for this green bar to load and we'll be all ready to go. So there we go. We've now got our output back in the bottom right hand corner here as a low res preview. I think that looks incredibly good. And again, we've not paid anything for this, and I'm not even using the Nvidia GPU. So if you were to use it, you get it so much quicker and you'd get a better quality output that you will also be able to go through and upscale and add details to if you wanted to as well. And if you're interested in learning more about AI and automation, make sure to come across to our community. We got lots and lots of free resources in here that you'll be able to go through, from masterclasses on how to get the best outputs, prompt engineering, all the way through to all of the resources we've ever produced, plus over 3 resources a week that we add into here. And you'd also get access to exclusive content that isn't shown anywhere else. Stay tuned for more around AI, automation, and have a great day.